Welcome to the Aligning Imperfectly podcast, where spiritual awakenings get messy, healing gets honest, and perfection gets kicked to the curb. We're your hosts, Kirsten Morley
and Bo Morley,
a couple of recovering people pleasers and rule followers learning to trust our intuition, learn gentle parenting, emotional intelligence, unraveling religious conditioning, and figure out who the heck we are now without the roles, labels, and expectations. If you've ever felt like you're in the matrix, waking up in the middle of your life wondering, wait, what am I even doing here? You're not alone. This is your permission slip to question everything, embrace the chaos, and align anyway, imperfectly, of course. Hi. I'm so excited for today.
Really?
Okay. So we're going to start off today, before we even get into the full episode, I wanted to give a shout out to Megan. I hope this is okay that I'm doing this, but we got a message, our first message. And we want to celebrate that, which is very exciting. To me, it's very exciting because it shows that we're doing what we need to be doing, and it helps me feel like we're in the right place at the right time and things are going to fall into place and work out for us. Should I just read the message?
Sure.
Okay, so it said, listen to you guys throughout my workday today, currently deconstructing LDS faith, and you guys are exactly what I needed to hear today. I'm not totally caught up on your content, but if you haven't already, I would love to hear more about your faith journeys, especially in your marriage if you ever struggle with deconstructing at different rates. I'm nearly out while my husband is fairly active and wanting our kids to continue to have church be a part of their lives or be a part of our lives. He's very supportive of my perspective, just trying to figure out how to communicate and parent through it. You guys seem so fun and chill. If you're local to a specific area, we'd love to be friends. Currently feeling like I'm on an island in my community.
Oh.
Which is so, I totally understand that. When we first left the church, it literally felt like we were on an island. It was so hard, especially because I felt like we didn't feel like we belonged anymore. I didn't feel like I belonged anymore, and it was very disheartening. Anyways, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, is more about our stories and kind of, I don't feel like it's going to be everything. I think that's what you have to watch the podcast. Throughout the podcast, we'll just share tidbits and stuff. But today we want to kind of give you a good chunk of, some of the basics of why we left and our stories with that.
And our experience growing up in the church and kind of how that shaped us and how we got to the point that we're at now as best we can. There's a lot there, but
there's a lot. It's like what, almost,
and a lot of it I can't remember.
30 plus years. You don't remember a lot of it?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So we did some prompts to kind of questions to ask ourselves, kind of to bring some stuff up. And I'm curious to hear some of yours because I don't think I've heard some of it. However, I think a good chunk of it, we know each other pretty well. But yeah. And before we get into this, I do want to mention that our intention is to it's not about bashing the church. It's about sharing our lived experiences and our emotional truths and, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I believe that we're allowed to talk about our experiences, to talk about the toxicities of the church, and to talk about the things that it really helped us with. And that's, again, we're not here to bash. It's more of,
we're speaking our truth.
Yeah.
And it's okay to do that. And if it comes across as bashing, then that person's insecure in their way. So
yeah. Yep. That's basically,
that's the reality of it.
That is the reality of it. I love how you put that. So I'll ask you the first question first. So we're going to start with the kind of childhood in the church. What was your earliest church memory that you can think of? Do you remember that?
So my earliest childhood memories isn't one specific memory, but there is a time, there was an experience that my parents had with me in the church that they always were so proud of that I did. And it was before I was 8 years old. The bishop came over to our house. It was on a fast Sunday when we pay and collect fast offerings and tithing. And he came over and he wanted to tell my parents that they got an envelope with a Monopoly $100 bill or something in it. and it was my envelope. And that I just going through this process, I just realized how freaking literal I took everything. Like I wanted so bad to do what was right, and I wanted so bad to follow perfectly that I found a way to pay actual money when I didn't pay money when I didn't have money, just so that I could like be good with God, right?
Yeah.
So other than that, it's more just like sitting in primary around all the kids singing is probably the earliest. It's no like one moment. It's just like the feelings I had during primary, and a lot of it was good experiences and good feelings.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much
Interesting.
my earliest memories.
So if I were to get specific, which is funny, my earliest memory was actually in nursery. I don't know. I didn't realize.
Wow.
I remember crying for my mom, and I remember, but like that's all I remember of like just the teachers trying to calm me down and trying to play with me and just trying to distract me from you know
Mom.
from my mom. But other than that, I it's more of like just remembering being in the primary room down in the basement of the building. It was actually the building that we got married in, but it was just singing songs and playing games and activities, and I could see it was really good, but I do remember having a feeling of like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough because I don't read my script. I don't actually read the scriptures. So that's where a lot of like insecurity came.
And we're gonna get to that.
Yeah, but like,
Wow. That's amazing that that's there,
yeah,
even when you were
really little.
really little.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, was there anything? What did you love about growing up in it?
So I really enjoyed scouting, and I enjoyed Young Men's. Just the community of it. And then exploring like hobbies and things is kind of what it did for me. It helped me add variety to my childhood and like learn some skills and get out in the world. So that's what I enjoyed about it. And a lot of times we played sports, and so I like sports, and it was a good outlet.
Good. Yeah, that's good. That's
So
good. Um, Mine's kind of the same thing. I think the community was my favorite part, and learning different skills. I did enjoy like all the activities, like the arts and crafts, and I feel like I do have to say I was a bit bitter about like all the young men going on these big extravagant trips, and us girls were learning how to cook and clean. So like
yeah, pretty
it was a
much.
bit
Just girls
sexist.
camp. Just girls camp.
Yeah. It was a bit
Once a
sexist,
year.
and I remember like expressing how I felt about that because it really felt unfair. But other than that, I really did love learning about like the life skills and just being with people. It was nice. So,
Mhm.
what were you taught about who you were supposed to be?
So the words that came to mind when I read this one and was trying to contemplate on it was duty to God. Um, and so what that meant was working towards being a missionary, becoming a missionary. And my whole teenage years was centered around being a missionary, being worthy enough to serve a mission, having the financial means to serve a mission, taking on the responsibility of that. And I was taught to be worthy to be a priesthood holder and do all the duties that were required of a worthy priesthood holder. And it taught me to be a yes man.
Oh,
Like I
a people pleaser.
was, yeah, people pleaser. I was a professional follower and not a thinker for myself.
Interesting. I think what I always went back to was I'm a child of God, and it taught me to be obedient even when it was hard. And
Oh, yeah. Wow.
and it taught me to also be obedient to all that the prophet says, even if he was wrong. And
Yeah.
that was like one of the hardest parts of me, just like always. So I always trusted regardless of like whether they were wrong or not. And I slowly started to learn. I feel like it took forever, but I slowly started to learn like, hey, I'm doing this because it makes me feel good, and I'm not doing this because I know that it's not good for me, you know?
Or
So
doing
being
it and it doesn't feel good, and then you're like, I'm not doing that anymore.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I feel like I did all throughout my childhood,
Hmm.
and growing up in my teenage years, you know? So
Was there any good that it taught you about who you were to be? Like, was there anything good that it taught you about being?
I don't know how to answer that.
I'm not sure either, but I think what comes to mind is maybe just prioritizing my spirituality.
Yeah.
There's a huge emphasis on putting God and others first. The putting the others first didn't pan out so well later in life because I neglected myself.
Well, the church doesn't teach boundaries. So
Yeah,
when they ask you to do something,
it's always
you had to
implied that
say
it's a
you
yes
had to
or you're
say yes,
shamed.
or you are considered to be unworthy.
Yeah, it's implied that you're unworthy or you're disobedient
Yeah.
or you're not in
You're not in good
you're not in
standing.
line, in good standing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Like it was taboo to say no when you were asked to do a calling.
Yeah.
Like that was just frowned upon.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have to say something that it did teach me was it taught me how to hold on to my spiritual experiences, because I've had several throughout my life, and the one thing that I'm really grateful for is I was able to, once we did leave the church, I was able to take those spiritual experiences with me and separate them from the church, and take the credit away from
The institution.
the institution itself.
Yeah. And like they can't monopolize those
Yeah.
like they claim to with everything.
Yeah. Like, if this happens to you, that means the church is true. If this happens to you, that means the church is true,
Mm-hmm.
which is very annoying.
Well, it's emotionally manipulative.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so that's one thing I really did get spiritually out of being in the Mormon church, and it was just like,
But those are things that became a part of you.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, which I'm grateful I was able to take with me rather than feeling like I had to leave them behind.
Hmm.
Because they were so impactful in my life with like the decisions I made throughout my life. So
Yeah, and we have an astrologer who happens to be my cousin.
Bree.
Her name's Bree, and we're gonna have her on the podcast soon, which we're excited about. But she brought up something really interesting. She was raised Mormon as well, and she's left more than 10 years ago. But one thing that she brought up and she mentioned was the fact you got to have appreciation or gratitude for the fact that even though we were raised in the Mormon church and in religion, that it did probably it prevented us from making big mistakes that would have been painful and
Literally life altering.
life altering. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there was a moral compass there, whether doesn't matter how extreme it was, there was a moral compass that did keep you emotionally, physically safe
Yeah.
in
I
ways.
Right. And that's another thing I'm really grateful for is, like, I probably would have had a teen pregnancy
Yeah, if you didn't have
if I
that
didn't have.
accountability and
Yeah.
you were feared into it,
Yeah.
or feared from it.
Yeah. But we also won't know, like, if I would have been able to critically think for myself. You know what I'm saying? So like there are
Oh
some
yeah,
things
sure.
that I'm grateful for, but at the same time, I guess we won't know what would have happened with our lives.
I guess what we're trying to get out of that, what I'm trying to get out of
Go ahead.
that thought that she shared with us is she was helping us see the good in like our childhood and growing up in the church and having some appreciation and giving ourselves some grace for what did happen and just being okay with like the duality of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, how did the church culture shape your sense of worth, perfectionism, or identity?
Yeah, so the culture for me was the purity culture, which caused a lot of anxiety, and I was driven by shame, and which always led to never feeling good enough. It was like a loop on a track of hyper fixating on whether or not I was going to be seen not passing the sacrament, not blessing the sacrament, not standing in a circle to give a priesthood blessing. And all of those events are publicly displayed. And so there is a lot of social pressure. And it's just the institution is set up to socially pressure and to shame.
Yeah.
And so my life became that vicious shame cycle,
Yeah. The scrupulosity.
the scrupulosity. So just the obsession of being good enough and wondering whether or not you were.
And trying to obtain perfectionism.
Yeah. So, and that brings about a lot of not showing up authentically. The culture of the church has a big problem with people acting like they're perfect already, and so there's this facade, and there's this everyone's wearing a mask. Not everyone, but just the whole energy and vibe in the church is that. And if you don't fit the mold, then you're less than, and you're not good enough yet.
Yeah.
So obey more perfectly.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And
I mean,
for those who don't know what scrupulosity is, it's basically specifically talking about pornography and being worthy sexually, whatever. And so, scrupulosity, an analogy here is they say, don't think about a purple elephant. Okay, what are you thinking about now? A purple elephant. So it's the same thing with don't think about your sexuality, don't talk about it, don't, if you have bad thoughts, you're a bad person. If you're
don't masturbate.
Don't masturbate, don't have sex before you're married, don't do this. And then all of a sudden when you get married, it's like, oh, they expect you, for women, they expect you to become a sex goddess overnight, and then you need to please your husband and do everything that he says and submit,
and divorce rates are out through the roof for Mormons. Mormon marriages.
Yeah, no. So it's the obsession of not thinking about something that they remind you every single week, every single day. Don't think about it.
Yeah, it's the obsession over fear-ridden thinking.
Yeah, exactly. So how did church culture shape your sense of worth, perfectionism, or identity? For me, the biggest problem for me was the purity culture. They gave lessons like, if you have sex before you're married, you're going to be like a licked cupcake or a chewed piece of gum. And they would literally come in with a big honking piece of gum and say, okay, does anybody want this? No, that's gross.
An object lesson. Oh my gosh.
That's gross. Who wants a chewed piece of gum? Nobody wants a chewed piece of gum.
Nobody's gonna want
Nobody's
you.
gonna want you if you're doing that. Like, what?
Which has an undertone of conditional love.
Exactly. And like the repentance process is not going to work for you, is what it felt like.
Like that's the biggest sin next to denying the Holy Ghost
if
or
you literally have sex before you're married, like, nobody's going to want you ever.
We did.
But anyways, but again, it was the licked cupcakes. They would come in with cupcakes and, does anybody want this? No. First of all, that's not the same thing.
That was a good day at church.
Oh my gosh. And it was always, do this or you're not going to be with your family ever again. Yeah. Those two things were,
which is fear,
were one of the hardest things for me to like
get on board with.
Yeah. But also, yeah. Anyways, we did it. Okay, now we're going to go into major influences and kind of turning points. So if you're okay with it, I would love to answer this first one.
Yep. Go ahead.
So the question is, when did you start noticing cracks in the belief system or the culture? I actually wrote this out when we started deconstructing because I wanted to kind of give it a timeline of like, okay, this is when these little tidbits of information came into my understanding, and it's like, oh, I didn't even understand what information I was coming across because I was so deep in the religion that like I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna put it on my shelf. And
you got to doubt your doubts.
You have to doubt your doubts
before your faith.
Doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
that's
the first, yeah. So the first thing that I came across, I had read or listened to it was back in 2018 when the Joseph Smith Papers or the Saints, I don't remember which book, and I'm not going to go back and look because I don't want to. but it's something that had come out, that they had taken all of these different journal entries and stuff and basically put it into a timeline and like a story. And it was about Joseph Smith, and like just like more information of like, instead of, oh,
He was perfect.
he was perfect, like, okay, I want to know about more about his life. I want to know more. Anyways, so I listened to that, and I remember listening to a part that said he was coming home intoxicated, literally drunk. And that like stopped me in my tracks, because I remember in primary they're always teaching about how Joseph Smith refused strong drink when he had his leg surgery. And I was like,
Because he was so
huh?
moral. Because he was so moral.
Huh? What?
Yeah, praise to the man, you know?
Literally. And I was like, what? This was put out by the church? Like, I
Man.
was so dumbfounded. But I read the whole thing, and that kind of like was put on my shelf. The shelf is kind of like just something that you can, like, information that you like put on the back burner, you put on the shelf, and then eventually, once you have too much information or too much stuff on your shelf, it eventually cracks and breaks, and then that's like
Yeah.
leaving the church. Anyways, but for me it was a big like, what?
Yeah.
Like that whole thing was just like one piece of information that came from the church that I was just like dumbfounded.
Yeah, the shelf. The shelf is like the things you that are weird and that you have cognitive dissonance with
Yes.
that you haven't found a justification for yet.
Yeah. Yeah. You haven't found a justification for it.
Mhm.
But that really like, but because I was so deep in the religion, I was just like, you know what? Okay, let's just put it on the shelf, and you know, we'll think about this and
I'll just stick to my faith.
stick to my faith. Just keep being faithful.
Yeah.
Right? And then 2020 hit and COVID hit, and then I feel like that's where a lot of things like really started to shift and change, because you were happy that we didn't have to go to church anymore for a little bit.
A long time.
For a while. And um and then I remember the Come Follow Me whatever program came out, and to me it felt way too convenient and way too sus. Like, that's suspicious that it like the timing of that was just like, huh.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Meaning the Come Follow Me came out way too quickly when COVID hit.
Oh.
Like, normally the like manuals and stuff, it takes a lot of time to like put out that information.
Well, maybe because the prophet was so connected. That's the things that I would come up with in my
Right.
head.
Right.
Like, oh man, this is totally just like validating my faith
Yeah.
so much.
Mm-hmm.
When my body's totally just
Yeah.
rejecting even physically going to church.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I want to say when Nelson said to get the shot, get the pokey, and he said it was safe and effective. And that was another like really big shelf crack for me, because it's like, okay, first of all, he knows as a doctor that there are some people that are literally allergic to the stuff in those. And for him to blanket statement, it's safe and effective, get the shot, was really weird to me.
It was more of, we recommend it, strongly recommend it.
But the words, it's safe and effective.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways.
Want to walk that statement back now that we know what actually
now that
happened?
we know what is actually happening with those, like, yeah. Anyways, and then the next one was I want to say the next year they came out with a policy that said that energy healing is not okay, and that really like was heartbreaking to me. Like,
Say why.
I was not okay, because I do energy healing.
That's
like,
not only the reason. It improved your life. It improved your mental state. You have fruits from it.
yeah. I literally like
And
I
I sat
literally
there
believe
watching.
I literally believe that the emotion code, body code, belief code, or emotion code in and of itself saved my life. Whether I also believe it helped our marriage so much, and without it, I feel like we wouldn't be here at all.
Yeah, not like it's a savior or anything. It's just a tool that worked. The church lacked the tool.
Right. And for them to say that it's
So
not okay to be doing energy healing, like, yes, I get that they're probably saying, they're talking about like the extremes. Like, don't spend $100,000 on a psychic medium that's going to tell you vague information about blah,
What
you
about the
know?
patriarchal blessing? I
Those are
paid my tithing.
those are free.
My
Oh,
tithing is more than that over a lifetime.
whew. Anyways,
I'd
so
like a refund.
I want a refund
I want a
too. I
refund.
want a
Man.
refund. Anyways, so
I want my
there's
Monopoly money back too.
uh, anyways, I'm just, so those were some of the biggest ones. I have other ones that like made us leave, but those were some of like the first cracks in my shelf that was just like, what? You know? So
Yeah.
what were your some of your cracks in your belief systems? I think yours was a little bit sooner than mine, wasn't it?
Doctrinally, no.
Doctrinally, okay.
Culturally and emotionally, yes.
Ooh.
So for my entire teenage years and even after my mission,
Mm-hmm.
things had happened over and over again that started to like tear away at my mental health. But I never put two and two together that was actually the church. That was the problem.
Well, the church made you believe it was you.
Yep. And that's where the emotional manipulation is. That's where it lies and it festers and it's a sneaky thing.
Yeah.
And most of our marriage, the first 10 years, yeah, let me finish my thought. So the first 10 years of our marriage, I never wanted to go to church. I dreaded, I was anxious about it. I went to people please, including to please her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my shelf started to crack once I was in the disciplinary council after we had had sex before we got married.
Yep.
And I felt so betrayed and unloved and unwanted. And
Which is silly because we literally were just a week away from getting married.
yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your thought there.
that's okay. So that's kind of like started thoughts of like why me questioning why God in his only true church would allow how it was run, how it would allow me to experience something like that. Even though they say that nobody's perfect, the church is perfect, but it's the people aren't. And so those types of phrases are damaging and they're hurtful and they're used lightly when in reality they're actually harming people. And so that's where my like shelf started to begin to accumulate items on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout those 10 years of not of just like the shame and the guilt from my like addiction and just my weaknesses that everyone has,
Which is a normal human experience.
my weaknesses made it so that I was the problem, the church wasn't, but I was continually we had moved a lot throughout those years and I continually received inconsistent, contradicting counsel from bishop to bishop, from conference talk to conference talk about whether or not I was worthy to do my priesthood duties, to hold a calling, to give priesthood blessings. And so I became so just like dysregulated and so hateful of myself for not being good enough. That there was not like a speck of self love. And
Because the church had turned you against yourself.
yeah, towards the end of that decade, like I had thoughts of just needing to be done and just leave the church, but I just couldn't do it. And I never really told her that. It still was like, wasn't an option for me. That's how entrenched I was in it. That's how just like in it I was.
Right.
And so,
It's almost like it took so long for us to even believe that it was an option.
yeah, it's almost like let me figure out me before I figure out what's going on with the church. Like,
Yeah.
is pretty much
Wow.
what it was. And it had to take the pain of the problem to be so big for us to like accept the pain of leaving, like what that process, the pain of the process of figuring out whether or not we were going to leave.
Yeah.
And so my shelf wasn't like so much doctrinal, and there's plenty of subject matter there for that.
Yeah.
Doctrinal or like policies that the church comes out with. It was more just like my mental health and how it just like slowly deteriorated my self-worth and my ability to function in a healthy way.
Yeah.
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 So
that reminds me, this next question is, what was the defining moment that made you question things? For me, it was actually the last time that we went to the temple. So we left in July of 2022, and we had gone to the temple for your dad's birthday in April of that year, 2022. And I remember they had changed the verbiage, because I think that was the first time we had gone to the temple since before COVID.
mm-hmm.
And they had changed the verbiage. It was from, the wife needs to cling to the husband, and then the husband clings to God. And then they changed it to the wife and the husband cling to God together.
Because they're getting backlash, social pressure.
Yeah, and I remember sitting in the celestial room, like, why do they teach that the doctrine never changes? Like, you'd think that if it was straight up doctrine and it was the letter of the law, it's, that is
the truth
how
never
it is.
changes.
The truth never changes. If that's how it truly was, then they wouldn't have changed it.
Yeah, it's the mental gymnastics of all that.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of those types of things that we found out later, just to help our deconstruction and just be like, oh man, let me just be at peace with my decision, pretty much.
Yeah. So do you feel like you had a defining moment of like what made you question things? Was it everything, or was there one moment?
I would say the pivotal moment was the being threatened with excommunication for like having sex with the person that I loved.
And that you were gonna marry?
And I was gonna marry.
That sucks. It took.
There wasn't so much doctrinally. It kind of just built over time, where just going to church became so unbearable and so just like hurtful.
Did you ever feel safe expressing doubt?
No, not at all.
Neither did I.
That's a good question.
Yeah, to me it was more important to find truth than anything, so.
I did write down that like my overall experience for leaving was like the church lacked the information that I needed to be emotionally regulate.
Yeah.
Instead they offer like emotional manipulation, which avoids the problem and makes it fester and get worse.
Yeah.
That's pretty much sums up my experience. Honestly.
Yeah. No, that's basically my experience too. So, what emotional or social experiences shaped your relationship with the church?
Well, I talked about the disciplinary council after we had sex before we got married. A social experience, a mission is a huge one. I didn't realize it at the time, and it was kind of like an incubator. I hardly remember specific things and like details about my 2 years in California, and a lot of it is because I was traumatized, and I was very just disassociated.
That would make sense.
They rip you from your support system, and then they give you a strict set of rules to live by that are just made up, that are like, go to hell, or if you disobey, you're not a worthy like representative of Christ.
Yeah.
So so many missionaries avoid having to go home because that's shame, and there's social pressure with family and your community, your church community.
And it would be worse to go home than to stay on the mission.
Exactly.
Ugh.
It's very nasty. It's kind of like the school system with kids. When there's emotional dysregulation and things are happening mentally and emotionally with kids, there's no option to escape. They don't really give you the chance to flight.
Yeah.
Which causes a buildup of trapped
emotions
that affect your health.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. How did the church impact your sense of self or your relationship, your mental health? I know you already kind of answered that, where it was especially right when your disciplinary council meeting.
My sense of self, it's just reinforced that if I wasn't good with God or the church, then I was the problem.
Yeah.
And so me continually having weaknesses meant I was always the problem and not good enough.
Yeah. No, I think a good chunk of it for me was like I was able to have those spiritual experiences but it also came with a lot of purity culture and shaming and guilting. So it was just like a, what do you call that? There
A
was a lot of,
pattern?
not a pattern. There was a lot, like, even though I had a lot of spiritual experiences that I was able to keep, I also experienced a lot of the purity culture, and the shaming and guilting, and it was just like,
Which affected your self-worth.
yes. Whew. You ready for the next portion?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about the leaving process. So the first question is, what finally made you decide to step away?
She wanted to step away.
so, so
And it was a hallelujah moment.
hallelujah!
I was so relieved,
Oh, I
okay?
bet.
It wasn't
bet.
the
You know what's so funny though? You were still like,
I know.
Wait, what?
That's because the pain of going through that process, especially with my family.
Oh,
That's was the big, like, that's what I was dreading the most, is having to tell each member of my family.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, because I'm this professional people pleaser, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let's continue to please them. Let's take the path of least resistance there.
Yeah.
Let's make them think that I'm still going, like, which I can't do, right?
Yeah.
I'm
You're
all
not.
in or nothing.
Yeah.
Or not at all.
Yeah. For me, it was doctrinal. So the fact that the church is actively whitewashing the history is absolutely diabolical to me.
They have to have apologetics. They hire apologetics
Yeah.
to damage control their mistakes.
Yeah. But all in all, I felt lied to. I felt betrayed. So long story short, to kind of like sum up like what actually happened, we were kind of like, at least for me, it was like kind of like trying to figure out if the church is really true, you know, because every single time I'd go and, you know, I even like when we went to the temple in April, I was like, okay, God, please tell me, like, is the church really true?
And then it's like,
And
oh,
then
let me
I get
change the
this,
verbiage in the temple to, like, put you through a gymnastics routine, a mental
exactly.
gymnastics
And
routine.
then at that moment, I was just like, okay, I'm going to sit with this for a hot minute and really like allow myself to know if this is what, like kind of digest that answer a bit,
Yeah, process it.
process it. Yeah. And so, um, Keisha, she's our sister-in-law, and I remember getting my nails done, and she would just like tell me this random information about like Joseph Smith is a pedophile, or like,
Thanks, Keisha.
and just like all of this crazy information. I was like, what? I've been in the church my whole life. I've
How
never
come
heard
they didn't
any
tell me
of
that?
this. Yeah. So that
Oh,
was like a
man.
portion of it. And then I remember watching TikToks where this lady called Jenna, I can't remember her name, but her handle is Life Take Two. And she had talked about her traumatic experience in the temple of like how it was prior to 1990.
Yeah.
And, or
Like
I
the
don't,
death,
like doing the signs and,
self-harming signs.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Anyways,
See, I didn't even know that
I
either.
didn't know that either. So when I watched the video, I was like, Bo, what is this? You have to
Oh,
watch
well,
this.
they didn't tell me that. It's not in Preach My Gospel, so I didn't teach it to my investigators on my mission.
So that was a big portion of it where it was just like, it just made me question a lot of like, okay, like what the hell is this? Like, you know, on one hand, I was like, this lady has to be crazy. Like she has to be lying.
She just hates the church.
She just hates the church. And then another portion of me is just like, okay, but why would she lie? Like what does she have in it? Like why would she lie about that?
Mhm.
You know? And so my gut feeling was to believe her, you know, and that
Don't trust your gut. Trust the prophet.
anyway. But that was one of my big shelf cracks, leaks. It was leaking a lot, and for me it was like, what? Like I could not compartmentalize what she was saying, because that had to be true or the church had to be true. And so I was kind of like going back and forth and kind of trying to decide like, okay, like what's the truth? Shelf. Then
You have like an extra support on your shelf. Make
yeah.
screw that in the wall, hold it up.
Yeah. Really though, but it was starting to crack and it was starting to anyways. And then I want to say the temple thing happened, and then there was a lady, she's the energy healing conference lady, Tammy Anderson Ward. She had announced on Facebook that she was leaving the church, and to me,
She was a
one
role model too,
she was a role model to
a
me
mentor.
because she was doing energy healing and she's also LDS, and she was, able to bridge the gap between religion and spirituality for me, and it
She
was
was able
just
to
like,
bridge the gap.
yeah, it just helped me be okay with being in both worlds. And for her to announce that she was leaving the church was like shocking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So shocking. So I messaged her on Facebook. I was like, "You need to tell me why. Why did you leave the church? I need the most detailed answer you can give me." And then she had talked about, okay, you need to read the gospel topic essays and compare them to the CES letter and the letter to my wife. And I sat on that for like a solid month or a
Which
couple
is pretty
weeks.
quick.
I could not like open it because I was literally facing
Reality.
reality. Like what was the truth
All of it.
of everything. And so I sat on it for a while, and then we went on a what was it? We went to a family reunion, and
Without our garments on?
no, I'm pretty sure we were like toggling between swimming suits and garments, and we didn't have underwear yet. So we were toggling between like, okay, is this really what I need to choose? Like, it's basically I had a lot of information in front of me, and I had to choose, okay, is the church true or not? Which one is it? And so I had to make the decision to allow myself to be open to the possibility that it's not true. And then I read the CES letter.
I'm sitting there crossing my fingers through this whole process. Please help her find that it's not true.
I was reading through the CES letter, parts of it with Bo, and I was just sitting there. What the hell is going on? What is going on? Because I was not taught about the polygamy. I didn't know that Joseph Smith had 32 wives.
And 22 before Emma knew.
And 22 before Emma even knew about the other wives. Wait,
14-year-old wives.
A 14-year-old.
And then marrying other men's wives who he sent on missions.
Marrying mothers and daughters. What the fuck is happening? Like, totally, like, mind blown. Like, what is going on? And then the next part I read, which is the nail, the nail in the coffin, is they said that Joseph Smith didn't translate the Book of Mormon with the Urim and Thummim. He did it with a rock and a hat. And now they're teaching that he did it with the rock and the hat. And my entire life, my whole 32 years of life, I was taught that he translated the Book of Mormon. It was not Revelation.
By the gift and power of God.
Those two pieces of information were, I'm done. I'm out. And then every single part that I read within the CES letter was just another
reinforcing your decision.
Yes. And yes, I did have moments of like, oh my gosh, like, am I doing the right thing?
Of course.
Because,
Why would you not?
They condition you to believe like, oh, if you leave the church, like, where are you going to go?
Yeah. We have monopoly on joy.
Joy. You're leaving joy behind.
True joy. You can't be happy outside the church.
Your eternal family behind. No, you're not. What about all of the people, the millions and billions of people before Joseph Smith even
restored the church?
Yeah.
Air quotes.
And then the one thing I find the most funny now that like I'm looking back at it is the temple has Masonic rituals in it.
It's plagiarized.
And it's plagiarized. He was a Mason, a Freemason, 3 weeks prior to introducing the temple ordinances.
Which is, Masons are, like, they can be considered a cult in it of itself. And
yeah.
satanic.
Yep, absolutely. So
So
there's
that's
that.
wild.
That was my whole process of like, and then something that was very helpful was watching Mormon stories.
Yeah, with
Watching,
John Dolan.
yeah, watching some of those episodes kind of like
Yeah.
solidify.
Yeah, people just going through similar experiences, exactly what I went through.
Yep.
Is very validating and helpful. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So what finally made you step away from the church? Just
You
me deciding?
deciding, because I felt like we weren't going to split up ever. So like, and it was either I was all in or not. And where I had been hurt for so long, like it was a relief to finally have her out the door as well.
Yeah. I do have to
So
say it's been interesting watching you the last 3.5 years go through the process of letting go of the conditioning, because I have seen
it's
a lot
painful.
of Mormon Beau come through and
Mormon Beau comes around often.
and especially when we were first leaving, there was a part of you that was just like, no, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And
It's just ran deep.
We were slowly able to both kind of let go a lot of like those Mormon tendencies of.
Shame and guilt, and
Yep.
still working on it.
Yep. We went to Starbucks for the first time.
That was momentous.
It was beautiful on a Sunday. That was probably.
That's our ritual, or was our ritual.
It used to be our ritual.
And then Starbucks is toxic, so.
Yeah. Starbucks has a little bit too much sugar, but it's funny, I never thought I would like coffee, but I enjoy it with a good amount of sugar.
Yeah, you gotta have the right kind.
Yeah.
The inflammation generating good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's speed things up a little bit.
Yeah.
How did your family or friends respond?
Obviously they didn't understand, but
I don't think they still understand.
they're not going to.
Yeah.
Unless one of them leaves and deconstructs.
They're in deep.
And I've got 10 brothers and sisters, and
9.
that's what I meant. 9, 10 in my family.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We can definitely unpack a lot of that.
Yeah.
Later. It's funny because the difference between our families was, I'm really grateful that, so I have 3 brothers and all of them had kind of left the church prior to me leaving, and it was nice because like my parents had already, they're a little bit more accepting of it.
Yeah, they'd been there before.
Yeah, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
My family was just blindsided, or they could have been suspecting.
I think they were suspecting.
Yeah, but
some of them were.
I think the biggest thing is it really revealed where the real relationships were with my family, which were not many.
Yeah.
And whether it was on our part or theirs, like there's been a distance there, and it's never been the same. So there's a lot of conditional. I think the overall thing is they're taught that people who leave the church aren't safe, pretty much. And so I feel like they don't feel safe around our kids because they don't know what the heck we're teaching them. And then,
which is very hurtful.
Very hurtful. Because we're good people.
Like, we're not going to go off and let our kids drink. Like, we still have morals and we still have standards. Like,
yeah,
we're not
they just
bad
don't
people.
know that. That's
what's taught in
that's
the
church, the toxicity of the church. Like it's all conditional love and accepting, and
yeah. Funny thing is, like,
it's sad.
It is sad. When we did leave, my dad actually had me explain everything. Like he had a lot of questions, but which I'm really grateful that he let me do. Like, I was able to express every single current concern that I could just get off the top of my mind. And
around the block.
Yeah, when we took a walk around the block.
Let me walk slow so I can get it all.
But I felt like he always had an excuse or a reason why people did bad stuff, and all the child bride stuff was, that was normal. That was normal at
back
that time.
then. It's a different time. Then why was everyone trying to kill Joseph?
Anyway, so I do have to say that I was really grateful for that. We haven't had a conversation since about the church, which is funny because
conversations don't happen anyway.
They just don't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah. Next question. I'm really excited about this one.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yay.
What emotions came up when you left? Fear, relief, guilt, freedom, grief,
All.
everything. I
All.
think mine started with anger and betrayal, and then grief, fear, and then like, oh, what am I going to do now? And it made me kind of question, kind of made me rethink how we can actually be there for our kids rather than feeling like we have to rely on the community to raise our kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of helped me
Mm-hmm.
step up a little bit, take responsibility for
That's a good thing.
what our kids are actually learning.
Yep.
And
It's
what
harder
we're
because the blueprint is in there and you've got to put together your own.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're still doing that.
Yeah. 100%. But same
For
emotions for you, or
yeah, I think the main ones were fear for sure because I'm stepping into the unknown,
Mhm.
and then definitely relief.
Good.
Even though I didn't know like what was in store for our life without the church.
Yeah.
And how that was gonna go.
Yeah. Relief was really, I think it, for me, it hit like anger, betrayal, grief, and then fear, and then relief. Like after processing.
Yeah. So you understood, you were able to process it and
Yeah.
see it for what it was.
Yeah. Was it gradual or sudden?
What?
Leaving. For us, I feel like it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Once we had made the decision to
Yeah.
be done.
And things just worked out that we had recently relocated, and we had a bishop that was the bishop that we needed to be able to go through that.
Yeah.
And then we submitted our resignation letters.
Mm-hmm.
That happened within a couple of weeks, felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did your partnership play a role? So did you leave at the same time or did one of you go first? So I went first, but you were mentally out.
I was out. We were both, it's pretty much the same time. Like I was.
But you were out mentally.
Oh yeah. I was just showing up physically
Yeah.
because I had to.
Yeah. Aftermath. What was the hardest part about leaving?
I think it was disappointing the people that my family.
I think mine's the community.
Yeah, that's been hard too.
Yeah. Losing a sense of community. So that's something that we're working on is
we need to find our
people.
own, and we've started to.
Yeah.
It's just kind of slow.
Yeah. What beliefs did you have to unlearn? Everything. Where do I begin?
Wow.
I think the first two that really was the hardest to overcome or to unlearn was tithing, because I had like that was literally ingrained in me. Like if you don't pay your tithing, you're not going to be financially okay. And that was.
But tithing's not about the temporal blessing. It's about.
It was for me. It was for me.
Yeah, it was contradicting teaching.
Yeah. And I had a really big fear that if I took off my garments permanently, then I was going to die. Not literally, but like I was not going to be protected. I was not going to be okay. I was not going to be safe.
Well,
but
they told you that. So
those are just my two hardest ones that I had to unlearn.
I think for me, it's the I'm not the problem. So that belief. They don't say that, but it's all implied everywhere. That my weaknesses aren't acceptable. And so unlearning and being loving myself regardless of my weaknesses. That's like the biggest thing for me because I'm so hard on myself. Like I don't need accountability because I hold my I don't need other people to hold me accountable. I hold myself accountable like to the extreme.
Yeah.
And so yeah, self-deprecation and that, and just showing up to church on Sunday, like obeying the Sabbath day. Like,
oh, interesting. That was really hard.
Yeah, Sundays were for a good year and a half, 2 years, were just like, I'm in trouble.
Oh,
I'm in trouble.
I remember you getting so irritable on Saturday night.
I know, because I was freaking out.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So unlearning that Sunday is not like you're not going to be.
It's not a recreation day.
Yeah.
It's a day.
It's a
to
day.
Worship God.
Yeah.
I'll worship Him here.
I'm going to worship Him in the mountains.
Yeah, or with my kids.
Yeah.
Or by myself.
Yeah. This is a really good question. What helped you start healing or rebuilding your identity? For me, I feel like the emotion code has literally done so much for me. It wasn't like everything, but there was so much that it helped me deconstruct and just
identify the beliefs.
The beliefs, the emotions, help with getting rid of like the shame and the guilt, like the conditioning. I don't know if you know this, but I did a lot right after leaving. Like I would do like session after session after session
I
of
do
just
remember that.
releasing as much, like just Google searching like different beliefs and just intentionally releasing them
If they
energetically
resonated.
if they resonated with me. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
what's something that's helped you start healing and
Yeah, it's been tools to learn about myself, self discovery. Like I've talked about identity foreclosure and how that like plagued my life. And so having to figure out a new identity and actually like dig into myself versus try and learn gospel doctrine and just like use that as my sense of identity or living up to expectations of that has allowed me to be open and feel okay with exploring who I am as a person
wow.
and giving myself like that space. It's just opened up a whole bunch of possibilities. And so a lot of that's been found in consciousness and awareness and the spirituality community.
And music?
Music has been huge.
Yeah. Say
Emotional, intelligent, like
people that
music.
put music together
Yes.
and it's like an expression of
Expression of returning to yourself and and trying to be okay with all emotions and presence in the moment.
you should mention that the artist Saint Finnegan, he has a whole bunch of songs that I introduced to Bo,
Shadow work songs.
shadow work songs that really help with healing and being okay with, hey, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to have this emotion, like you're not a bad person
And
by
it,
experiencing this emotion,
yeah,
like
it's songs that help you um, with observing emotion and identifying emotion and finding the good in the emotion because that's really a part of who we are.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so there's a lot there, but it's basically been being able to self explore and find out who I am versus adopt someone else's idea of who I should be,
yep.
which I clung to. That was my identity. Like whatever box they wanted me to be in, I was gonna put
I was
myself in
gonna
it.
do it. I was gonna do it so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. How did your spirituality, God, or yourself evolve? Like how
Okay. Uh, to put it concisely, I right after leaving, I landed in a place of being
neutrality?
at peace. So neutrality,
Hmm.
being at peace with not knowing, and it's okay to not know. Like being in the middle, where we've talked about being in the middle of both extremes of certainty and having to know and having control over knowing and not giving a shit. And so that allows for open mindedness and exploration
And peace.
and non constrictive control energy,
Yeah,
which is agnostic. So I'm anti religion and more okay with adopting things that work for me personally
yeah,
and being okay with it, trying things to experiment to see what helps with finding internal peace
yeah. Same here.
and
I
self love.
That's good. I think I was able to, for me, I was able to cling to more of this spirituality where it's just like doing like meditation, grounding, breath work. I'm not very good at exercise, but I try,
Just
and like
movement,
just movement
gentle movement.
and doing things that were improving myself. So, more along the lines of like self development. And I was able to like cling to those things rather than like being straight up religion or straight up like crazy spirituality. It was more of like a middle ground of just being okay with not really knowing.
But
So,
doing what feels good
but
for you.
doing what feels good and just continuing like those good practices,
Mm-hmm.
like alignment practices that helped me feel like a human being, you know? So,
To
but
still feel connected with self and
yeah,
present
yeah.
and in your body.
Hmm. Yeah. So what do you wish you could tell your younger self still sitting in church? I've asked you this question before, but you didn't really answer because you didn't have an answer, but I'm curious if you do.
What would I tell my younger self?
What would you tell your younger self still sitting in church?
Knowing what I know now?
Hmm. I know what I would say.
It would probably have something to do with you need to you need to figure out who you are, not who other people are telling you. And you have permission and you're safe to do that.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I love that. Life's not that serious.
Well, when you put
I
hell
know.
and damnation and salvation on the line.
Yeah,
You make it serious.
I get
It's too
that.
bad.
Yeah. What unexpected gifts came from experiencing from your experience in the church?
Unexpected gifts came from my experience in the church.
For me, it was a connection to myself. I know they didn't really teach it.
From leaving the church or from the church? I don't understand the
What
question.
unexpected gifts came from your experience in the church? So there's empathy, intuition, service, resilience, understanding people. So for me, it was being able to be spiritual rather than religious.
Oh,
You know what I'm
gotcha.
saying? So like that's something I am grateful I was able to do or take away with me and kind of shut the door on religion.
I think something that might be helpful for some people that are listening to this episode is defining religion, being religious and spiritual.
I have a whole video on that.
Well, if you could put it in a couple sentences or a sentence, what is the difference?
The difference between being religious and spiritual is religious is having a middleman between you and God. And then spirituality is more along the lines of connecting to yourself.
Which is
Because I don't believe God is a man in the sky. It's God is within you. God, it's the energy that flows in your body.
mm-hmm.
You are God. You are a part of God. God is within you.
Mm-hmm. Which shouldn't be foreign to Mormons because they believe you'll become a god, but we are God.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the difference is you have to go to some place. You have to go to a church building
To have them mediate for you to God.
Exactly. You need a mediator.
Yeah.
Which they believe that Jesus is, but I believe that Jesus was really an ascended master trying to teach us to get in our body, that God is already within us. We don't need an external,
A judge,
yeah,
a taskmaster.
yeah,
That's kind of strong.
yeah. So that's what I see. The biggest difference is just,
Yeah.
you know, and then there's obviously a ton. I'll link a video here if you want to go see my entire explanation of the differences that I've seen. But yeah, so yeah.
So what was the question again?
So what unexpected gifts came from your experience in the church? Empathy, intuition, service, resilience, understanding people.
Maybe the understanding people, and probably I think it put me on the path to begin to explore myself towards the end of why I'm so sensitive. I don't know how to put that. Maybe not. That I don't think the church gave me that. The church made me confused about myself.
Okay.
So
that's valid.
I don't know what other gifts.
How has leaving deepened your relationship with yourself and each other? I have an answer for this. This one's my favorite. So there was a bishop that left. He was on TikTok. I don't remember. I think he goes by Bishop Storehouse or something, whatever.
I remember him, yeah.
And he was mentioning that when
he left the church.
Yeah, when he left the church, they had taken off their garments and he had touched his wife's bare skin, like while they were
in their backyard, hanging
out with their kids around a campfire. And he felt so connected to her just by being able to be skin to skin with his hand and her back, that he realized how much the garments were separating them physically, emotionally, like
there's that
disconnecting from them. And I also made the realization because I had gotten pregnant a year after we had left, and going through that pregnancy without garments on was one of the best experiences, the most spiritual experiences I have ever gone through, because I was able to
love your body.
I was able to love my body and not feel like, oh, the garments are so uncomfortable.
It's like a distraction from being connected
from
to
being
self.
Connected to yourself and being connected to your body and being connected to the baby. And then you were also able to, like,
I was the most present during that pregnancy and appreciated the small moments more than I had our other 3 kids
combined.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And the birth was just amazing.
Yeah.
It was just so
beautiful.
Yeah. Like probably the best stretch of my life.
So that is one of the best things that has come from us being able to take off our garments, and like the sex is better, our connection is better. I feel like
The emotional intimacy.
we're able to be so much more honest with each other because we're not hiding behind the shame and the guilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
That's so true.
and like we even got into an argument. Was that last
Yes,
week?
we argue.
It was, anyways. But we were able to really be honest and be clear and express ourselves in a way that we've never been able to express, and still come back together and be like, hey, okay, it's us against the problem. Let's work together to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it
all in all, we're able to give ourselves permission to work on ourselves using tools without religion, so that we are more equipped to handle, we're more emotionally available.
Yeah.
Especially me. Like,
yeah, because you
being
were
to
not
being to
emotional.
show up, I wasn't emotionally available. I was emotionally numb. And so being intimate with her, being intimate with myself, into me I see, that's intimacy. Into me I see.
Intimacy. Into me I
And
see.
I've been able to see within myself because of that. And because of that, I can show up for her and be emotionally available more for her. It's not perfect, but it's more often. And it creates more safety for her.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. Mm-hmm. And we're able just to connect and there's a stronger connection.
Yeah.
So I love you.
I love you too. You're amazing.
You're my soulmate.
I love it. Okay, we're about out of time, but what do you feel like is your biggest takeaway from this conversation? Leave the church. Leave the church.
Do what's good for you, but leave. Figure it out.
Yeah. I think something that I would want to tell people who, if anybody watches this, is that if you're going through deconstructing your religion, whether it's LDS or another religion, I want you to know that you are not alone in this, and there are people out there like us. There are people out there who are
doing the same thing.
Doing the exact same thing.
The religious world would call it an epidemic right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they're leaving in droves because there's a consciousness and awakening that's happening, from what we can tell. But
yeah. And we see you. And I believe that there is a spirituality after religion. If you choose to be atheist, that's cool.
There's still spirituality in that.
There's still spirituality in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And reach out if you have if you want us to talk about anything specific.
And I hope we answered some of her questions in this episode.
I think so. Yeah. She just wanted to know about,
what's her name again?
Megan.
Thanks for sending that message, Megan. It really helped a lot. And we hope that you and your husband can figure it out. And don't feel like you can't reach out again if you just need some support or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
that goes for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. She said, I've loved your content about patriarchy and religion and the lack of representation of women in the doctrine. Learning to trust my own intuition about the teachings of imperfect men, the opposite of your doubts, which we kind of went over, has been really big for me in my deconstruction too. Also, I feel like the LDS to witchy stuff pipeline is a universal experience for Exmos. So all things astrology, tarot, energy is always interesting and fun to me. And then she said, I also think talking about how to remove the guilt surrounding kids and eternal families with walking away from high demand religion could benefit a lot of people.
Okay, going along those lines of removing the guilt, read that again. Removing the guilt.
I think talking about how to remove the guilt surrounding kids and eternal families with walking away from high demand religion could benefit a lot of people.
I think one of the most healing things for me, because I worry about what I'm going to be able to, like, what I'm going to teach my kids to help them be like successful adults and emotionally intelligent children and adults, is the fact that it's okay to tell them that you don't know the answer.
Yep.
So just being okay with not knowing, just being transparent with the discoveries that you make that could be options of things to cling to ground yourself and find truth.
Absolutely. She also says, it's that's the biggest hurdle for my husband. I feel like he holds the weight of responsibility for our eternal salvation on his shoulders, which, you know, that's understandable.
Yeah, that's how it's portrayed.
Yep. So again, you're not alone. We love you, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you for watching the Aligning Imperfectly podcast.
Woo!
Until next time.
Get it. Thanks for listening to Aligning Imperfectly. If something in this episode stirred your soul, made you laugh, or made you question everything, we'd love it if you'd leave a review, share it with a friend, or just come hang out with us on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. Until next time, stay curious, stay messy, and stay aligned.